Hi, Ryan.
Hi.
Hi, Ryan.
So nice to meet you, Judy, on Zoom, just like I always imagined. I loved Crip Camp. I was obsessed. I like devoured it.
Thank you.
I've 4 times, I think. Yeah.
Oh, great.
I
Well,
have
you
to
know,
say,
Jimmy LeBrecq and the people that produced it, directed it, it was Jimmy's idea. He had he had been a camper and then he went into sound engineering. And then he decided he wanted to give back something in disability. And it was his vision to create the movie, the documentary.
Oh,
I
wow.
met Jim way before you, Judy, and
No, you didn't. I knew Jimmy when he was 15.
No. Before I met you, I met Jimmy.
Oh, before you met me?
Yeah. So when I met Jim, it was right when I was getting into IL stuff, but I was texting him the first time I watched it, and I was like, you guys were insane. What was going on back then? And we were just texting back and forth while we were watching, and I was texting Neil too, because there were clips of Neil Jacobson, and I used to work for him, and so yeah, I just love the film. I've only seen it twice because I can't get that emotional anymore, but yeah, great job.
That's great.
I want my own Crip Camp.
Oh, you do have it though, Ryan. You really do.
I thought that's what this is.
Yeah, I thought that's where we're headed.
By the way,
Crip Camp?
did everybody go to camp here? I mean, I went to Camp Arazine.
Yeah, I was gonna say I went to a camp for kids with disabilities, and I remember seeing Crip Camp and going, man, if I had Judy Heumann as a counselor back then, that would have been so rocking. Because it was a camp neighborhood house, but the camp for kids with disabilities. But I just remember watching Crip Camp and going, what my life would have been like if I had gone to Campton and that as a little girl met you. That would have been, had you as a counselor, that would have been so awesome.
Man.
I mean, I just went to like fucking zoo camp. I totally got shafted.
You went to what?
Like zoo camp. I don't even know what it was. Like, I went to like weird day camps, that like was not like Crip Camp. It was not like us like living, laughing, and loving on like a gorgeous patch of land in like fucking Maine. Like no. We're upstate. Like no.
It was in upstate New York.
I didn't go to
Upstate New York. Yeah, upstate New York.
Yeah.
Tobias, are you going to say something?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm just waiting. I'm listening, absorbing. But it's nice to virtually at least meet you, Judy. This year, at the beginning of the year, I kind of got to go to Oscar camp, and I was fortunate enough to be in the choir at the Oscars, and I could not.
Oh, I saw you. Oh, you were in the choir.
Yes. I had to make sure that I raised my wheelchair up high enough. I was like, did they see the wheelchair? That's all that matters. That little kids around the world see a wheelchair on the Oscar stage at least. And
I almost stood up.
Me too.
Oh my God.
It would have been a miracle.
Right.
But I couldn't help but think of you because instantly I thought, well, this is going to be tricky, right? It was not at all. It was the easiest thing to do to get onto the Oscar stage because everything was accessible. I didn't have to worry about it because you had already been there, a couple decades before to pave the way in a world that was not accessible in any way, shape, or form. My question, I guess, for you is, you kind of already answered it, but did the future meet your expectation of when you were first, tackling this battle?
Not yet.
We're still working on it.
I mean, the future has not, my vision of what I would have liked the future to be and where I would like the future to be now is not where I want it to be.
You want a
Um,
jet for everybody.
Yes, certainly for everybody, but I think in the area of disability, while, you know, we have a stronger movement, an international movement, which we really didn't have in the 1970s, it was just emerging, but we're still trying to legitimize ourselves, for people to accept that we're, you know, even an issue they need to grapple with and deal with. And, you know, when we talk about media, it's, I mean, why was I excited about one person being on the stage who had a disability? I was like so excited. But the reality is there are many more people from diverse backgrounds on the
Yeah.
stage, right? Black people, Asians, Latinos,
We had
blah, blah, blah.
we had 3 people with disabilities that you could see, and I don't know how many other people had disabilities in that group, just based upon substance use or mental issues. I have no idea. Half of us
Who
are
were the other 2 people?
Uh,
No, not Ellie.
one is a amazing singer named Victoria Canal, who's a limb difference, and the other is a gentleman who is a blind. He's blind. He was also a black fellow.
He was
and
in the choir?
And he's a singer in Tower of Power. He's a musician in Tower.
Oh yeah, okay.
Good.
You're with them.
Hi
Yeah.
Toby, I'm gonna visit you soon, just so you know.
Okay.
If you see me in your front yard, then you know why.
You know where I live.
I do.
And Chris. Were you gonna say anything?
Me? Yeah, I want to make it as brief as possible because there's so many wonderful people on this call. But I just want to say, so first of all, I loved Crip Camp as well, and I hope you never get sick of hearing about that, because that was my introduction to you as a human, pun totally intended. And I was really, really enthralled by a lot of things. And there's a lot of questions that I had for you, but I think I'll use my love of that documentary to lead into to this one particular question. So I was very, very skeptical of Crip Camp at first, not just because, in my experience, you know, when Hollywood tackles conditions, you know, I'll just be frank, and just in my opinion, and some of you may hold this opinion and some of you may not, but well, they do a poor job. And I think a lot of you might agree. And they do a poor job for multiple reasons. But in my opinion, if we're trying to make an impact, then the story itself has to be in front of the message in a way. And what I mean by that is that we are fortunate to be as you said, I'm just phrasing it a different way, a subculture that touches all other subcultures, right? And I don't mean subculture as in a culture that is less than. I mean a culture within a culture, and that is persons with conditions. And what really impressed me about Crip Camp and why I loved it so much is the through line in the whole documentary, to me, really drove humanity home, the humanity of the community, which most stories around persons with conditions, whether it's a documentary or not, fail to do that properly. In my opinion, that was what was so mind-blowing, is that it was real, and there was so much humanity in it. And with that said, my question to you is, in your opinion, what can we do now to inject the importance the value of humanity first inside inside not just media, but Hollywood media specifically. And I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you an example. Every single time I see stories that showcase persons that have conditions that have been hired for a show, the title of the article is usually blind actor breaks barriers, or a deaf actress breaks barriers. And the issue that I have with that is, if you want someone to really dive into a story, a better title might be incredibly talented actress breaks barriers on new ABC show. And then someone will go, oh, how does she break barriers? And then she clicks on the article, and she actually and the people actually read the article, and then they learn something, and then all of a sudden the humanity is revealed. And I think it's easier to make change when information is presented that way. So what can we do to help shift the language towards that in Hollywood and elsewhere?
I mean, it's the same message as I've been giving. It's got to be coming from more than one person. It's got to be coming from the people that are producing the material. I also think it has to be coming from the people who are reading and viewing the materials. You know, I think the comment that you make about Crip Camp and the humanity of the film, I really like that word. And I'm sure it's not the first time that it's been used, but it's a powerful word, and I think speaks to comments that many people make about how the film demonstrated how people valued each other and took the time to really enable everybody to participate in the process. But I think our voice is becoming stronger, and our voices as consumers, because I think really things that have happened in other communities have not just happened because those who were actors, for example, were the main cheerleaders. It was because the communities that they represent were clearly demonstrating that A, they had an economic base that they were missing, and B, that the audiences wanted to see themselves. And I don't think we've done that enough. I don't think that we've, you know, when films come out or are being, you know, developed where disabled people are not being cast, when disabled people are not, you know, throughout the projects that are going on, and when language is very interesting, of course, because my presumption is that we would have similar language in this group, but then you have many people out there who are still using what I would call ableist language, or demeaning language, and people using it themselves. So that's a whole other discussion about how we really elevate the importance, in my view, of not using terms that are disparaging of ourselves. But I think really the expansion of our movement, and our movement meaning that we also are, look, we represent 61 million people. If a couple of million people were writing about, you know, how they're not seeing themselves in advertising and in television, on and on, that I think could have an effect. That won't happen overnight, but I think we really need to see ourselves as consumers, and too many disabled people, because of the weakness of the movement, are not aligned with any of the movement. They may be aligned with a particular organization that represents their disability, but those organizations are not necessarily advocating politically like we are. You know, they're raising money still for cure and services and things like that. So I think we have to really move to another level.
I'd love to jump in just in my put my hat on as National Chair of Performers with Disabilities for SAG-AFTRA, because I keep the Watchdog report, which reports on TV, theater, movies, advertising, broadcasting, music, and all that stuff about where our employment is happening. And so just to give you a hopeful view so that we don't get off of this conversation feeling like it's hopeless. It is not hopeless because in the last 3 years, we've actually tripled employment in television for PWDs. And interestingly, last year we were up to 57. I know these numbers sound ridiculous when you think of the whole picture, but still, we went from 0 to 57 between 2010 and 2018 or whatever. We were 57 in 2019, and this year we've with COVID, we're 8 months in, and we've got 42. Performers with disabilities already have been seen, whether in series regulars or just showing up as a guest star or.
I mean, Anita, we're not the problem.
No, what I'm saying is that
you're working hard and people are trying, and the numbers are improving.
That's what I wanted to say is, film is not improving, but TV has been improving, and theater has sort of exploded. Yes. Although the Tonys, Toby, it's great to hear that the Oscars were accessible because the Tonys were not. So it's a very interesting dichotomy, and I did not know that. I'm so glad to hear that, Toby, because I saw you on the Oscars, but I didn't know how your accessibility situation was, whereas Allie had to be in a certain place. She couldn't sit in the audience and then come up for the award.
Right. I mean, my question about the Oscars was, you didn't come from the audience to the stage.
Exactly.
You came from the back.
To the stage. Yeah, exactly. And
you
I could
have
see
come from the front to the back.
There would be some difficulties, but at the same time, I'm like, that's a design thing that I think they could have made a stage look really great with 2 ramps coming up from the sides, and
they had months.
There's ways around. I think the most amazing thing about what you've done, Judy, and what that whole movement did is it showed how beneficial making a change for one group can affect the majority of people. Elevators alone. I mean, just it's like all the stuff that is made for us helps everybody. I mean, the language in baseball, right? The sign language in baseball would have never been there without a visually impaired baseball player. And it completely changed the game. And like that, you completely changed the game, not just for us, but for pregnant women, for obese people, for all types of people. It's incredible. And I think that is the message that if you can convince the regular public that inclusion for everybody is going to help them, it's like, that makes the most sense.
Well, it's funny that you it's funny that you say that specifically. I just want to be really quick because I have to thank you really quickly, because I used to have the perception when I first met David that because my passion is music for film and television, and the reason I had that passion is because I felt that people had to make the musical choice without seeing me, right? And so the art came first. And that was really, really important to me. But then I saw Crip Camp, and I went, screw it. Like, it wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter the order in which somebody consumes me as a human being, right? Like quality can come from like in any direction, and I wouldn't have felt that freedom without the film and without you. And I just wanted to say that thank you. And everybody else can talk now.
You know, we're really trying hard and we're making progress.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. I think the numbers, as you're talking about, Anita, are obviously important. I think COVID for the entire industry is really having a dramatic effect on it. And Ryan, are you in production or what's
Oh
going on?
yes,
with
honey,
you?
off to the gallows I go. Yeah, we finished. We did 4 episodes. We shut down because Miss Rona, got her claws into us. But we're shooting next month. We're in pre-production right now. So yeah, we have 4 weeks of shooting left, which is a little harrowing. I'm not gonna lie. But I guess I'm gonna understand what it means to die for your art. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God.
I hope not.
Very careful with it, yes?
Yeah, of course. Like, I'm not like raw dogging it, but I mean, I kind of am in a way because I have to, be a wactor. Like, if I was just being a showrunner, I'd be like, cool, live, laugh, love. I'll put my mask on and party. But I have to just do my work, which means being maskless. But I mean, of course, like the production's being really careful. I talked to like someone, like the director of like Mount Sinai or whatever, and she's like, it's safer than being in a grocery store. I'm like, chic. But it's also like weird because I mean I have cerebral palsy, which is an underlying condition, but I also have a mild case that doesn't really seem to affect my respiratory function. But you never know, and you would love not to find out.
Exactly.
No, totally. I totally
God,
get
you're
it.
crazy. I love it.
And I don't know who the bottom person is. All it says is iPod,
Oh, you
iPad.
surprised.
Oh, you can't see
That's
the face? You can't see the face of Miss Jerry Jewell?
Oh,
That's Jerry.
it is Jerry. Jerry, do your review.
Jerry, how the hell could I tell you? I can only see your damn eyes. How the hell
Hi.
are you?
The facts of
I
life doesn't give it
know
away.
the facts of life.
Yes, it's her Facts of Life mask.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Jerry, I miss you.
Oh, there it
Before
is.
Jerry gets involved, I have to say goodbye, Judy. It's amazing meeting you. And the rest of you guys are incredible. I love you all. And
Love you, Toby.
safe on set. Jerry, show your beautiful face. I'll see it before I go. And I'll see you guys all soon.
Bye.
Love you, Toby.
Jerry, that last movement you made, I could tell it was you.
Oh my God. The spasm gave you away.
I'm gonna throw you off and wear the Flintstones, but
Well, we have about 2 minutes left anyway, so we just, any other stuff that we want to talk about?
I just want to tell Jerry that I love her. That it's so important how you were out there really in the beginning and leading the way, and I think really illustrative of what we need to be seeing all the time.
Judy, that means so much to me because I have always had so much respect for you.
The
And,
mutual fan club.
you were one of my heroes from the beginning. I always paid attention to what you were doing. Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
And I am so blessed to have been a part of your life and to be a part of opening doors for millions of people. I mean, you're my hero, Judy.
Well, I mean, really, okay, everybody, this is serious, right? Everybody on this screen has played an important role in other people's lives. And I think that's what we all need to remember. And for people who will be watching this, think about the roles that you've played in helping open doors for other people. And that's ultimately, I think what's really important is, we are in this because it goes beyond what we want for ourselves. We're in it because the love of the work that we're doing in theater and whatever it may be. And, we experience barriers that go beyond the normal barriers that people trying to enter into media are up against. I mean, the reality is most people without disabilities don't make it to where they want to be, right? In theater or movie, whatever. But, coming up and knowing that the perceptions of who we are, regardless of our talent, make it so much more difficult for us to get forward. And the fact that people have been fighting so hard. and really making a difference. And so looking at the contributions that everybody on the screen has made, is making, will continue to make, I think that's what this is all about. And allowing people to see that, you know, having chutzpah is really important. You know, really being able to kick ass. And I think the other very important part is having friends that support us, because everybody has really dark periods where we're not achieving what we want, and we believe it's because of our disability or whatever it may be. And to be able to get the support of people that we trust and love, that, yes, continue to move forward. It's, for me, always been very important. I had a really dear friend, she's in Crip Camp, her name was Kitty Cohn, and she was a phenomenal leader. And, you know, when I lived in Berkeley and she was in Berkeley, I would frequently call her and say things like, Kitty, am I a Martian? And that's a long story, but the bottom line is I was at an event and I was being excluded from the discussion about what to do after this event in going to the movies. And I just decided I didn't want to engage in pushing myself into what people were looking at doing, because it was so clear that they didn't want to have to deal with issues around the wheelchair. And so I just kind of disappeared. The term today would be ghosted, although I was physically there. And I remember when I went home, I called Kitty and I said, am I a Martian? And she said, you know, why are you saying that? And I explained what happened. But, you know, really having good friends and family that you can talk to about how you feel and how to get back your strength and resilience to go forward again. I think that's, everybody in this group today and others do that for each other and others. So that's what it is.
I steal something from you. Every time I speak, I steal this from you, Judy, and I'm giving you credit right now, that people are temporarily
able-bodied, temporarily, or non-disabled, right?
They're going to be disabled someday, and so they should get on our train because we're going to party with them eventually. So
I mean, they shouldn't see it as our train. They should see it as their train.
Like our train is the world, not.
No. The only reason I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just a little semantics, because if people see this as their train, then, and for that I mean, I talk to people and I say, look, you may not have a disability today, you may have a disability tomorrow. It may be permanent, it may be temporary. But the bottom line is, if you get invested now in what needs to be created, that is better for you and for the whole community. So for them to see it as their part of their role for themselves, I think that's an important part of the work, you know, that Ryan has been doing and Jerry has been doing and all of you have been doing. It's really allowing people to see how we are like them, right? And how we are our own persons also.
What, you want me to tell them what happened? Well, 2 people got cramps and they're spreading. We were all very hyper about it. And I have to go shower some people. I'll see you later.
I wanted to be part of the world, but I didn't see anyone like me in it. I hear about a summer camp for the handicapped run by hippies. Somebody said you probably will smoke dope with the counselors, and I'm like, sign me up.
Come to Camp Jeanette and find yourself.
There I was in Woodstock.
You wouldn't be picked to be on the team back home, but at Jeanette, you had to go up to bat.
Even when we were that young, we helped empower each other. It was allowing us to recognize that the status quo is not what it needed to be.
The world always wants us dead. We live with that reality.
At the time, so many kids just like me were being sent to institutions. It was just a continual struggle.
Most disabled people, like myself, are unable to use public transportation.
We needed a civil rights law of our own.
A rehabilitation program has been vetoed by the president because it was cost prohibitive.
We decided we were going to have a demonstration.
You get the call to action, to the barricades.
A small army of the handicapped have occupied this building for the past 11 days.
So many people from Camp Jeanette found their way into the building.
The FBI cut off the phones. The deaf people went, we know what to do. That's how we communicated to the people outside the building. The Black Panther Party would bring a hot meal. We were like this.
We are the strongest political force in this country.
We will no longer allow the government to oppress disabled individuals. And I would appreciate it if you would stop shaking your head in agreement when I don't think you understand what we are talking about.
What we saw at that camp was that our lives could be better.
If you don't demand what you believe in for yourself, you're not going to get it.
I said for pleasure.
You like to see handicapped people depicted as people?
Excuse me?